Hello everyone, welcome back to Optimized FPL. We are going to be taking a look at the most optimized team based on predicted points from Fantasy Football Hub and Fantasy Football, I believe the FPL forum. The links will be in the description. You can check it out, and let's get into the video. Okay, so just to start, to show how the team has been built, I have all of the predicted points from Fantasy Football Hub here. I had to manually enter them right now because there's no copy and paste, at least for what it is right now. So I have like for example, we can look at Salah. These are all of his projected points for the next 8 game weeks. I have it for 6 game weeks because FPL Forum only has the first 6 game weeks, which again I had to manually input, which is alright. This gives us the projected points for the first 6 game weeks. And then we also have the start prediction. So this is the percentage chance of a team or a player starting in their team. So as you can see, we'll do largest to smallest. Players like Salah, Son, Kane, Bowen, very likely to start. And people who are less likely to start down here, players like Martial, apparently Semedo, Sar, Undav, players that are unlikely to start. So what the model does is it takes all this information, the Fantasy Football Hub, the forum, start percentage, and it gives me a predicted number basically. And we want this predicted number to be as high as possible. That's the predicted points that they're going to be getting. So when you go to the solver, you'll go there. It has all the information in it, how much everything's going to cost, how much everything can. It knows all of it. It knows how many players it can have, how many goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and once you press solve, it spits out a team. So let's look at the team now and see what it gave us. Okay, so starting off in net, it's Allison at 5.5 million. The predictors and this Excel spreadsheet really seems to like Allison at 5.5. It's a little bit surprising, but I guess it doesn't really have to take into account like Robertson or Diaz. It only has 3 Liverpool spots, and I guess if it sees that Allison has a lot of value in his position, then it's gonna put him over Trent Robertson and Diaz. So yeah, it keeps picking Allison. Not surprising, I guess, because Liverpool have really good fixtures, and obviously Liverpool are a really good team. But it's a little bit surprising because not many people are actually gonna pick Allison because it's not worth it in the grand scheme of things. You want Robertson, you want room for Diaz. You want a little bit more flexibility, and I don't think Allison really gives you that in real terms. But it's an interesting pick, and I think that it will definitely could bode well for players who pick him. Moving on to the defense, we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, James, Perisic, and Chilwell. It's a 5 at the back formation, which is not very surprising. The defenders in this game have a lot of value in them. The predicted points seem to be very high for them, so I'm not surprised that the solver would determine that defense big at the back is a good strategy. So obviously Trent 7.5 is going to be in everybody's team. Cancelo has a lot of protected points. In some models, he actually has more points than Trent, so he's definitely a great choice for this team. The James and Chilwell double up I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you can't really afford both of them, then you might want to consider maybe getting Mendy in instead of Allison, and then maybe changing Chilwell to someone like Robertson if you really wanted that change. But the big at the back formation I think is really important this year, so something like that would definitely work out for you. But Chims and Chilwell I think are great options. I don't worry about them like being rotated at all. It looks like Chelsea are finally getting some more center backs like Koulibaly and potentially Kimpembe or Koundé. So I think that they're still going to probably play the 3 at the back system, which gives James and Chilwell a lot of freedom to move forward. So they're definitely great options. Perisic at 5.5, a little bit more concerning just because like he hasn't got any game time in the preseason, so it's something to definitely keep an eye out for. If his injury is a little bit more long term than we once originally thought, I don't think Conte is going to really start someone who hasn't really had a lot of game time. I just don't see him as that kind of manager, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it is. Moving on to the midfield, we've got Salah, Foden, Martinelli, and Odegaard. So I'm going to start with the 2 Arsenal boys first because it's a bit of an interesting one. I think that the model really likes the projected points and also the projected starts. Martinelli and Odegaard are quite high in this list. I believe Odegaard was like a 0.97, and I think like Martinelli was like somewhere in the 0.8, 0.9s, like 90% chance of starting. So it's a little bit surprising that they're both in there, but Arsenal do have really fantastic fixtures, so their projected points are very, very high for the start of the season. So I'm not really surprised to see Arsenal players in there. Just maybe these 2 are a little bit surprising to some people. I think most would probably assume that Saka and Jesus would be in here, but they're not. It's actually only a one forward formation. And yeah, I mean it's a little bit surprising, but I think it can make some sense. I personally wouldn't pick Odegaard in this system. I think even someone like Rashford could potentially be more explosive than Odegaard, but Odegaard will get you like good returns, but I just don't think he's worth it at 6.5. Martinelli I think is a great pick at 6 million. Makes a lot of sense. I think his likelihood to start is pretty high, so Pretty understandable. So moving left, we got Foden. Not too surprising. I mean, Foden at 8 million. There's a lot of good 8 million options out there, but obviously DS is not an option because we have the three Liverpool players already. I mean, you could potentially argue that Mount's a better pick or that Saka is a better pick, but you don't really want three Arsenal midfielders all in one spot, you know. So Foden at 8 million, I think is a really good option. Most likely to start on the left wing. With Raheem Sterling gone, there's going to be less competition for that left wing spot. Like Grealish can play other positions. Foden could also potentially play on the right wing. I know he's more of a left winger, but it's also possible. I'm sure there's going to be lots of rotation where Foden finds his way into the team, so I'm not too worried about it. And lastly, in the midfield four is Salah. I mean, it's not unsurprising. He's probably one of the best players in the game, if not the best player. Definitely worth having. These predicted points don't take into account like captaincy choices as well. So for this type of team, Salah is a great captaincy choice for basically the entire time. Definitely a great player to pick for the first opening five fixtures. Liverpool's fixtures look absolutely fantastic. So really interesting one here. And last up is actually Harry Kane. I know some people would be surprised by that. Maybe people would think Haaland, but unfortunately the predicted scores have Kane a little bit higher, and also the start rating has Kane at like 0.97, where it has Haaland I think at like 0.83. So it doesn't rate the fact that Haaland is definitely going to start right away, and I guess that does kind of make sense because like Pep does like to breed in players slowly, so it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. But I think it makes a lot of sense to have Kane instead of Holland, at least in the first little bit. So I'm not surprised that the predictor picked that. I know the predicted points usually look at players that have like history in the league. So when Holland's coming in, he has no history in the league. There's no real like basis to base their numbers on. So it has to take a little bit more of a cautious route and not overestimate them. Where Kane has like he has history in the league, so they can go back and look and see like, okay, well he's been pretty good for the last 5 or 6 seasons. He can be predicted to have a high score. Okay, so this team's predicted score is about 400 points in the first 6 game weeks, which is pretty impressive. That's about 66 points on average, which is pretty insane if you ask me. This doesn't even take into account any captaincies, so like I'm sure it could possibly even be more like an average of 70 to 80 points. So it's a very, very good team to start off the season with. If you're looking to wild card around the 6, 7, 8 game week mark, which I think most people are, this is a good team to start with. So yeah, keep it in mind when you're looking at teams. The big at the back system really seems to be the most common and the most liked by all the predicted points tallies. All the predicted points likes Kane more than Holland, which I think is a little bit interesting, and all the predicted points like Foden over all the other 8 million pound players. Thank you everybody for watching. I just wanted to quickly let everybody know that I'm hosting this thing called the Pizza Premier League. I posted it in the fantasy football Reddit page, and that was because last season I ended up winning this. It was a great idea by the user Mocha Frappe 11. They made the competition last season, and they actually ended up paying out and paying me a pizza, so I thought that was pretty cool. So I thought this season I'd do the same thing. If you want to join, please feel free to. I'll have a link in the description. Basically, the winner of the league and the winner of the cup will both be receiving $25 worth of pizza. So please feel free to join, and I look forward to seeing who the winner is next season. Thanks so much, and I hope everybody enjoyed the video, and I hope everyone has a great season. Cheers, and see you soon.